Olamma, on hearing this, went into premature labor and died along with the child. Once upon a time, there lived a king called Ikenga. King Ikenga married the most beautiful girl in the land, called Ego. Ego was 16 years of age when she married the king. Shortly after their marriage, Ego became pregnant and the king, Ikenga, became overjoyed. He bought her the finest wrappers and expensive jewelries and gifted her father plots of lands. Finally, time came for Ego to put to bed, and she went into painful delivery. The midwives did their best to help her, but to no avail. So the king sent for the chief priests. When the chief priest finally came, he made some sacrifices and incantations before Ego was able to put to bed. The chief priests gave the good news to the king about his son, but with a very scared and worried look on his face. The king asks what the problem is, and the chief priest tells him that the child is cursed. He is born with the devil's mark, he said. His destiny is to kill his father and marry his sister. The king became very confused as the chief priest warns him that he must bury the child in the evil forest. The king is left speechless as to what to tell his wife. Is there nothing we can do? He asks. The chief priest replies, I am afraid there is nothing we can do. There is a strong curse on this child by the gods. The king carries the child and sees for himself the mark on the back of the child. He is immediately gripped with fear because in their kingdom, any child born with that mark shows that he or she has been marked by the gods as evil. The king orders his right-hand man to take the child to the forest and bury the child. Ego, its mother, cries and begs for her child's life, but no one was willing to listen to her. The child was taken to the evil forest that night. A year later, Ego took in and put to bed a baby girl. They named the child Olamma. She grew up to become the most beautiful princess the land has ever known. She had so much love and respect for her people, and in return, they loved her too. One day, the princess leaves her house to take a walk around the village. On her way, she meets a young man on the floor who has been bitten by a snake and was dying on the floor. She and her maids immediately helped him remove the snake's venom and picked up some herbs from the nearby bushes and treated his wound. The man became very grateful and showed his appreciation. She asked him where he came from, and he told her that he came from a neighboring village and his name is Ebube. She then helped him return to the borders, and from there he found his way back to his village. On getting home, Olamma was welcomed with the news of her father's death. She cried and wailed in pain for her loss. She was confused as to what had killed her healthy father. She was then informed that the king, her father, was attacked in the forest that day. The king has always gone into the forest every year on the day his son was buried to make sacrifices to his grave. But on that day, he had gone but never returned alive. She ordered the guards to go out and find the person responsible for the king's death, but they came back without any luck. The king's burial was fixed, and the news of his death spread far and wide. Ebube heard of the king's death, and he recalled seeing Olamma dressed in royal attires. So he set out to attend the burial. Then he confirmed his suspicion that the person who died was her father. After the burial, he walked up to Olamma and gave his condolence. Weeks after the burial, he started visiting more often, and this made Queen Ego happy to see that her daughter had piqued interest in Ebube. Ebube is a fine, hard-working and well-behaved young man, she thought to herself, and would make a very good husband for my daughter. The elders of the land were not happy because whoever marries the princess automatically becomes the next king, and they all wanted it to be one of their sons. So, a wrestling match was held in the land that whoever wins would marry the princess. The princess became very worried. What if someone other than Ebube won the match? But Ebube assured her that she had nothing to worry about. During the wrestling, Ebube beat his rivals with very little effort, and the whole village was amazed and happy that they would have such a strong man as king. They began hailing him and calling him different names. One of the names was Ebubedike. After the wrestling, Ebube married the princess and was crowned king by the son of the old chief priest, who was very old at the time. The new king and queen lived in peace and harmony for a while until Olamma takes in. Immediately she became pregnant. Strange things started happening in the land. Crops and animals started dying, and little children started slumping to their deaths. The king and the elders came together for a solution, but nothing came up. They were confused and worried. They asked the chief priest for a solution, but he was unable to do anything or come up with the cause of the problem. So they asked him to bring his father, who was old and ill at the time. They ordered some youths to carry the old chief priest to the palace as he was unable to walk. When the chief priests came to the palace and saw Ebube, he immediately screamed in fear, and everybody was surprised. Ebube himself was confused. The chief priest then tells the whole village that Ebube is the one who actually killed the late king. The whole village was in confusion as they looked at the king, who apparently could be a murderer. "You hit him in the forest with your arrow," the chief priest said to Ebube. Ebube looked in confusion and then told everybody that indeed he had hit a man in the forest with his arrow, thinking he was a bushmate. But the person who he hit was not the king. The man was dressed like a commoner. And immediately I hit him. I went out to seek help, but unfortunately, I got bitten by a deadly snake, and that was the day I met my wife, the princess. The old chief priest then said to him, "You have finally fulfilled your destiny, you evil child. You have killed your father and married your sister." Ego, their mother, screamed on hearing this. She immediately ran to him and tore his shirt off of his body. Then she saw the mark that was on his body when she gave birth to him. She cried and then confessed on how she begged the person who was to bury the child to please spare the child, and even bribed the man with plots of lands. Olamma, on hearing this, went into premature labor and died along with the child. Ebube fled from the kingdom and was never heard of or seen again. Their mother lived in pain till her very last breath.
Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and share. Also drop a comment down below. Thank you. Bye.